Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here with you. How are you doing? Hi. Can you hear me well? That's the first check we should do, right? I'm very pleased to be here with you. I see many names that I am familiar with. Some are new to me, so I trust some people are just joining us for the first time. So let me introduce myself. I am Nancy Trivellato. It's such a great pleasure to be here to discuss a topic that is not so simple because nothing related to the out of body experience is simple. And in this case, it in a way interconnects with some of our beliefs that good and evil and how we are going to be supported. So it's very, very important that we understand how benevolent, advanced spirits can help us live our bodies. And they do, and they do many times, but often we do not recognize it. And instead of going with it, we work in ways that we stop accepting their help. So we do not go with the flow. So I want to help you with this. Let me give you a little information about what we do here in this channel. I see of great value combining science and spirituality in a way that we are not restricted to an old conventional science, but we are adhering to the good principles of science and spirituality in a way that we are not just guessing things, but we are basing what we say on facts, at least on facts that are described by a huge number of people. It's a very vast experience that quite prevalent in our world. Unfortunately, some of these experiences we study here, such as the out-of-body experience, but clairvoyance, intuition, healing, sometimes it's taken from a side that is more like of a religious, mystical approach, instead of an angle or an approach that is scientific. We have to acknowledge there are things that are not in this material world, yet they exist, and we can study and understand them. So that is my endeavor here. It's not a simple one, but one that I do with great pleasure. I have a great community with me, all of you guys, which helps a lot. We have very interesting discussions, and I receive so many good questions from you. That's why I feel so motivated to continue. I hope my internet stands. I have bought a satellite internet to have it here because I am now at the IAC campus in Portugal. And because we are in a rural area, that is the beauty of it, the beauty of our campus. We are close enough from civilization, but far enough to be isolated. But internet's not so good here. The last live that I did, my image would freeze once in a while. So I bought a new camera in order to try and have a camera that would demand less from the internet. Let's see how it goes. Very good, guys. I see Karen Sigur. Hi, Sigur. Long time I don't see you here. Welcome back. Michelle, how are you doing, Michelle? Hi, Serge. Very nice to have you. Gladys. Isabel, hi Isabel, very nice to see you from Madrid. Of course, Trevor, hi Trevor, how are you doing? Ande, hi. I see some guys here that are with me in the Energy Force Field Bootcamp. Very nice. Same, Olivier, hi Olivier, Brenda, and I'm not going to read all the names, but those are the names that I often see here, so I'm very glad having you here. Shall we jump into the discussion? What I'm going to do is I'm going to list. That's how I thought of doing this. Listing the different ways in which spirit guides or spirit mentors, as I prefer calling, and I will explain why, the different ways in which they get close to us when we are projected outside of our bodies. Completely lucid, but sometimes we are not very lucid, but there they are. But also when they connect with us, to help us detach from the body. I'd say that is even more difficult for us to notice. And there are some tricky things, because one of the situations that we face is, how can we distinguish that who is there close to us is indeed a positive spirit to support us leave the body, instead of someone who is just trying to deceive us, trying to lure us outside of our bodies, or trying to get close to connect with our energies and drain our energies. And what I would say from the beginning here is, we want to be very, very down to earth in this talk here. This talk is not to address how some other consciousness may deceive us. That would be a topic in itself. But the number one thing that I want to say is, never ever be afraid of it. Because if you are afraid, you won't be able to analyze what's going on at the moment. You won't be able to judge the situation. And let's think, what is the worst that can happen? The worst ever. If somebody comes and lures you outside the body, you have an experience in which you do not receive very good energies. You will wake up probably with some strange thoughts, feeling a bit depressed, maybe with your heart beating fast. Nothing that has never happened to us, I guarantee you. Because this is relatively common, that we meet outside the body, or we have close to us spirits that not necessarily are the most advanced. All of us, myself included, and everyone that I know, excellent astral projectors, all of us, once in a while, will find that there is some sort of consciousness or spirit close by that is not that balanced. To an astral projector, that doesn't cause any surprise or fear, because we know the whole process is related with energy interaction. What I'm calling energy is the energy of our chakras, which creates some sort of energy body that is the interface between our physical body and our non-physical astral body. Therefore, these energies that I am referring here in a very loose way to are what makes us sensitive to energies around, picking ideas and thoughts from others, sensing there is someone in the room, or having an intuition or a premonition. All of this, all happens because of these energies. Sometimes just spontaneous, sometimes controlled. Sometimes we produce some events in an unconscious way, including healing. Healing is only possible because of these energies that are in our chakras, in the space between chakras, in the interchakral channels that helps the energy circulate throughout our energy body. It's such a pity, right, that we do not have a tomography, or we do not have a complete scan to apply in our energy body and see how it works. But we do have something: our perceptions, the analysis of cases, many cases that we see, so case history, and it's a literature available that is this ever stories, and we know there is some sort of energy on us that connects with others. That is almost an instinctive notion. Many people are afraid of it because of these ideas of good and evil, and what if there is something bad around. But we are not good, we are not evil. We are a balance based on our lucidity, our awareness, our principles. And that's what we want to connect with now, to understand how these spirit mentors would approach us to help us in our out of body experience. Is it good? There is some freezing of my image, right? Audio is fine. You see, even with everything I did, I cannot explain what goes on. But if audio is fine, that is good. Then you can follow me. Is that right? Let me try and adjust something. Can you give me just a moment? I will try and adjust something in my internet settings. Give me a second, please. Okay, let's hope it gets better. So as I was saying, then I'm going just to list some of the most common ways in which we are helped by mentors. In itself, this is a technique. For those of you who took the consciousness development program, you know that we explore the techniques and our capacity to handle the experience and grow little by little into that, in going to very advanced levels. And one of the last techniques that we apply in the consciousness development program is living the body in a way that we are assisted by a non-physical mentor. Why is that one of the last techniques that we apply? Because we want you to be very experienced with energies, to know how to distinguish energy, to know what to do in each condition. If you are in such a place, what is the best way for you to behave? What's the best way for you to react? How can you interpret the things that you see? So there's lots of explanations that build up to that moment. But we do not need to be concerned about anything, because in truth, there are already spirits that come close to us, and many of them are real spirit mentors who want to support us. So let's dive into it and learn by experience itself. Okay, I see that my mobile is on and it's making noise on over there. I'm going to go there to turn it off. Okay, give me a second. Apologies again for the interruption. So let's go straight to our slides here so that I can bring you the topics. And I'll try to go straight to the points in which I want to address your questions at the end. Let me bring my slides. Yes. First thing I want to clarify is, what is it that I am calling here spirit mentors? It's more or less the same as the spirit guides, but the spirit guides is so much overused that sometimes people apply these terms to consciousness that I would not consider a mentor or a spirit guide, because some, they have very selfish intent, some they are quite limited, and when we use the word guide, often we are giving an idea of someone who gives us the way, who leads us the way. And mentors, they don't do that. They support us, they mentor us, but they do not guide us in a way of telling us where we should go. So, but this is all semantics, doesn't matter. What matters is that I communicate with you, you understand me, you know what I'm referring to. It's just spirits that are more evolved, more balanced, more ethical, and that's what matters, okay? There are two types that often we will sense close. One is of a more personal connection. someone that cares for us, that used to be with us. Sometimes it's even a relative that is for a brief period of time close to us. So this is more personal. And there is another type that is more like specialized. Specialized mentors are those that they know very well a certain process, a certain mechanism. So they know how to tweak, to adjust. Many times, the type of mentor who supports our projections are those specialized, because living the body, it's a complex set of skills and occurrences, not only detaching from the body, but having the energies in a way that they are flexible, that they vitalize both bodies, the physical and the astral body. Also being able to keep our lucidity, not falling asleep, not falling into dreams, being able to elaborate and deal with what is outside. So there are many different facets. So these specialized mentors are those that more often work with us when we are investing our time and our effort into learning to project outside of our bodies. Everybody projects. Everybody have once in a while out of body experience. We did different degrees of lucidity, different degrees of recollection. But when we are investing into studying and doing techniques, we kind of attract these consciousness who want to support us. Okay? So that's why many times we do have these specialized guys around. So now that I explained what I mean by mentor, let me say that I have given a masterclass that is public here in my channel. And it's called You Are Not Alone. This is how spiritual assistance works. Now, this masterclass here has a different angle. This one explains how we receive assistance, spiritual assistance, energetic, from spirit guides, from mentors, from benevolent spirits, while we are here inside the body. So that was the focus. Today we are discussing about when we are outside the body. And here I want to show you this image. That is an image. Forgive me. Here. I want to make it big. Thank you. That is an image that shows one of the ways that mentors can support you during your takeoff. So we are talking here about the first stage of projection when you are detaching from the body. In this moment of takeoff, we may receive assistance in many different ways. I'm going to list the most common. This one here is what most people sense or expect to sense. And I borrowed this image from the Consciousness Development Program. By the way, if any of you are interested in the Consciousness Development Program, you always have a link in the description with a discount that you can enjoy, okay? Just letting you know. Anyways, here you see that there is a mentor close to the individual emitting energy. You know what happens in this situation here, what is most common, is that people do not keep relaxed. You would start feeling like something is growing, something is coming towards you. Sometimes we feel a state of peace that is beyond our natural, or our mind all of a sudden quiets down, or we start feeling more expanded, as if we are here, but at the same time we are not. We feel we are bigger, but it's not a sensation as if physical, but more a sensation that we are expanded from the body, something like this. So there are many different sensations that this can produce. Besides vibrational state, it can produce a vibrational state. Sometimes some of our vibrational states are produced by this sort of situation. Sometimes this energy coming from the non-physical mentors, they produce like some buzzing inside of us. It's more than a buzzing, like electrical waves that they are distributed in very specific ways. So you know you are not yet going out of the body. You are very much inside your body. But these happens spontaneously. Sometimes it's just a reaction of us detaching from the body, but sometimes that reaction is produced by something as we just saw here, because our energies are being activated by the energies of these mentors. Okay, so this is very common. I wonder if you have ever felt this. If you did, you let me know in the comments, please, so I can keep discussing with you and hearing your stories. That would be great. In the comments after the video is published, that would be great. Now, sometimes they give you a hand, literally, like you see a hand approaching you. Doesn't have to be a hand, but usually that's what most people sense. So when you see the hand, you feel like, oh, I'm going for it. You feel like an invitation and you feel safe. But sometimes people feel safe, but their rational mind keeps saying, oh, what's in here? Should I? Oh, now I go. Yes, I'm connecting with the spirit. And then the heart starts bumping fast. Boom, come back to the body, and the projection doesn't happen. But sometimes it's not a hand. There are cases, for example, in which an object would be shown. An object can be a stone, can be a piece of anything, just a figure, like a geometrical figure. And then you feel like touching it. And it's not touching with your hand, it's touching with your energy, with your intention, with your awareness. So when you observe and you make the intention of touching it by connecting with that energy, boom, it kind of triggers a very strong intensification of your energy, which can bring a prompt takeoff, or sometimes the takeoff into steps, but based on that sensation. Sometimes touching again or connecting with that object can produce a strong vibrational state. Of course, because the vibrational state is a result of the change in our energies, and that's what's happening there. I've had been mentoring so many people that they want so much to leave the body. But when they see a hand inviting them or something like this, many get so happy that they don't go further. Some get so surprised, they don't go further. Some get happy, but a bit scared at the same time. Perhaps not scared, but cautious. And then it doesn't go ahead. So any of these things will prevent you from leaving the body. That's why the first thing you have to work on is your mind. You be calm. And second, your energy. Because if the energy is not in the right state, then it's possible that you leave the body, but it's very difficult or very improbable that you learn a lot from the experience, that you maintain your awareness. So the energy must be in the right condition. Of course, it may be just because variables put that in the right condition on that moment. But if you can start controlling your energy so that you put it in the right condition, that is the best. And that is perfectly possible. Much, and I will include one more, much easier than having a lucid out-of-body experience. So that is the first step we should work on. And the out-of-body experience comes as a consequence. And we feel confident because we know what's going on there. And then comes here another point that I want to make, that is, many times these mentors, they come and they energize one of your chakras. Can be any, but most common ones. Your heart chakra, your frontal chakra. Sometimes the crown chakra, but not as common. Your throat chakra. So when you feel all of a sudden one of your chakras are like exploding in a good way, yeah? Exploding of light and energy, and you become almost like a super being with rays of light coming out of you. Usually that is because of some sort of non-physical mentor helped us. It is possible that we get that spontaneously by ourselves, but it's not as common Most commonly, there is some support, unless you have been working with your energy a lot, putting your energy in a very flexible and good condition, becoming more and more aware of the many layers of reality, the many dimensions, I call multidimensional reality, then, of course, you can produce it by yourself. Touching. Sometimes you may feel someone touching your body. So we are talking about mentors. I'm talking when the touching is positive. You feel good, you feel confident, you don't doubt what that is. It brings certainty to you, clarity. It brings you hope. It doesn't bring you anything superficial. Most common cases are, for example, mentors touching your forehead. It's not a real touch in the forehead because it's not physical, right? But it is their para hands, so the hands of the non-physical astral body, touching your para forehead. Therefore, your astral body, but also your chakra here that is connected to the forehead in your astral body. So we feel that sort of reaction. Sometimes we may feel a touch, for example, in our feet, like a helper trying to unglue us from our feet or from our hands, or putting their hands underneath our bodies and lifting off. All of that are relatively common experience. I've heard many people describe it, not only in classes here at the IAC campus or in the consciousness development program, which is I have been taught classes in person all over the world for 31 years. And teaching in person shows a lot because we see the effect on the person's energy, and we also see the description or hear the description later on, so we can compare. So it is relatively common, all of these experience, but few people manage to stay cool throughout. There is nothing wrong with that. We are caught out of surprise. That is okay. But that shows how our minds sometimes have so many still interferences from fears that we got during our childhood, education. I think it's quite important that we become aware of it. Sometimes you are there, just lying. Maybe you are just going to a regular night, trying to fall asleep. But all of a sudden you feel your internal mood, like your internal climate, starts to change. And then you feel peaceful, you feel light. And all of a sudden, some image come to your mind, positive image. Let's say image of the skies, or image of a beautiful waterfalls, or a placid lake. I'm just bringing anything, okay? But those image comes with a certain energetic feeling, and they inspire you to tune with a certain type of energy that will prompt you to detach. So many times these mentors, they give us that inspiration or certain image or thought. Also, they may give you, they may give you direct instructions. For example, relax more. So you are there trying to leave the body, all of a sudden comes a thought abruptly. It's not your sequence of thought. Relax more. Don't rush the process. It may be, of course, just your own knowledge kicking, you telling it yourself. Yes, but it also may come from outside. You need to learn to distinguish. How am I going to know? With time, you will have experience enough for you to see how for you it is different, because it is different. But sometimes we may find it difficult to tell. If we find it difficult to tell, put it aside. Let's say it was your mind. Better this than assuming, oh, yes, I had a spirit mentor here giving me instructions, and it's not. Right? Better the other way around. So you keep your feet on the ground. But do not judge from the beginning unless you are certain. Okay? If you are certain, that's good. Otherwise, give yourself time to accumulate experiences. Now, Now we are going to talk about during the out-of-body experience. So please note here that I am changing the topic a bit because we were talking how they would help you to take off. Now we are going to discuss how they help you while you are in the out-of-body experience. Number one thing, you may receive intuitions in challenging moments. I want to emphasize something that I am trying to express here. Intuition is not a direct instruction. It's almost as if you are in a certain situation and you think, what is it? What should I do? How can I do such and such? How can I get out of here? How can I help this person? And all of a sudden, boom, the answer is in your head. Sometimes this answer is given by some mentors close to you. Not necessarily we see them, but we sense them. We communicate telepathically. That's why we have to learn how we feel when it's ourselves thinking and when there is some sort of thought that's coming as an inspiration from outside, like an intuition that is being sent to us. But that is very common. Did you ever had this? Like you have a question outside the body and boom, all of a sudden you knew what to do? That is very interesting. Another very common thing that perhaps you didn't expect. Many times the mentors give you a ride to certain dimensions. So it's not give you a ride for you to visit the house where you used to live when you were a child. No, to go to dimensions, layers in the non-physical astral dimension that you wouldn't reach by yourself. Most commonly, they take us to certain dimensions where we are going to see something advanced, new. We'll learn something, but sometimes they may take us to a dimension where we go to help. We go to support those who are in that specific environment, who may need support. Like when you see a crisis, like climate crisis, an earthquake, and people go there to help. Sometimes it's not an earthquake, huh? It's non-physical. It's in the spirit world. But sometimes there are situations that we may go to help. But we only go if we know what to do, if we know about energy, if we are mature enough. No helper, no mentor will bring someone to a place where they need help, but will bring someone who is like completely out of their minds on what to do and will be more trouble than help. So don't worry about this. If you are not prepared, you are not going to go. But these rides are quite common, especially to places where you are going to go to learn something that you would not go by yourself. We virtually can go anywhere when we are outside the body, but this is virtually. In truth, it's not that. We have to have a connection to the places and dimensions that we are trying to reach in order to be able to get there. There are no roads. The road is how you connect mentally, energetically. And that's very well explained in the consciousness development program as well. But here I'm giving you this information so that you can interpret your own experience, because I know you do have them. Another thing here that I want to briefly comment. Sometimes they do an energy coupling with you to inspire or to transmit ideas. So let's say you are projected and you are, I'm going to bring an example, okay? You are in a difficult phase of life. And then you are outside the body, perhaps not even very lucid, but all of a sudden you feel a presence that comes, and it is as if they were embracing you. You don't, it's not a hug, but it's an energetic embracing that fills you with light and peace. And all of a sudden you feel like, I know who I am. Sometimes they do this to help you or to inspire you to remember something that you knew before being born, that right now in this current life, you're not remembering, and that's being a problem. They are not going to tell you what to do, but they may help you get into the right tune to hopefully connect with your true self. But that is a decision of ours, not of theirs. But they support us. So sometimes they will even give us inspirations, ideas. Another situation here is sometimes outside the body, okay, because we've spoken about this in relation to the takeoff. Now we are outside the body. And some non-physical mentor may apply energies to one specific chakra of ours to help us gain lucidity. So the process here is not so much helping us to detach, but helping us to gain lucidity. Most often this happens when we are close to the out, but close to the body, and our lucidity is not very good. So this sort of thing help us almost like wake up outside the body. So this is another procedure that happens a lot. And of course, for someone who's experiencing this, they do not know their chakras activated by themselves. The sensation is positive, is negative, what's producing that. If you are in doubt, you are in doubt. But don't be in doubt because of fear. Be in doubt because the sensation is not clear enough for you to judge. These are two different things. So doubt, when we really do not have condition to interpret something, is productive. We look for the answer. We start accumulating the information in our minds until we build up enough that knowledge to be able to know what is what. So, but when it's just because of fear, then we don't progress. Okay, I hope I can explain what I'm saying. One very important thing here. Let's say you are outside the body and you encounter a being that you know or you feel or you communicate telepathically or you approach that being, I mean a spirit, a consciousness, and you find out that they are suffering, quite confused, feeling, for example, remorseful about something or resenting something or longing for something or not knowing they are in between lives. If you see that, sometimes you may have a chance to help. But to help, you need to know what type of energy to apply, how to conduct that specific session in which you are sending energies or supporting in whatever way that spirit, that consciousness that you met. So many times, these mentors, they tell us what to do. Send energy to the head, for example, the head of the spirit, like the parrot, right? Or go more intensely, or just stay calm, show your calm face. Different strategies, but all of them trying to get to a point. So be prepared for that. You know what is one problem that I see very often here in this area is that many of us, we would expect to have an encounter with a mentor that will look like what you've heard being described, for example, in near-death experiences. That is possible, but that is not the most common. So we need to be prepared for these approach that sometimes we just take for granted or we just feel afraid of them for lack of knowledge that they represent a mentor getting close to us. They would support us to become more lucid. So you are in and out of body experience. They may send you energies to make you more lucid, to make you more knowledgeable of what you should do at that moment. But behind it, there's another thing, right? Support you to have better recollection of your experience. And let me share something with you. Sometimes when we are outside the body and we have a very eventful experience in which you go to different dimensions and you witness things you've never seen. Perhaps you even participate in some of these assistance in which you help people. When you have all of us, like when we have, let me put it in the third person, when we have many of these, in the first person, I'm sorry, when we have many of these very intense experiences, we end up not recalling, because it's too much for our brain to recall in sequence. Simpler experiences or shorter are easier to recall. So sometimes mentors have to judge, okay, now it's time to go back so that you can have better chances of recalling. Other times during the experience, they will come and call attention to something, call your attention to something. You are not going to hear them. It's in your thoughts. For example, you are in a place that there are some different constructions, structures. And all of a sudden say, this is structure. I want to remember when I wake up. Yes, I will remember this when I wake up. Sometimes it's them inspiring you to have that thought while you are outside the body so that you can have greater recollection. Why would spirit mentors contribute so much to our out-of-body experiences? Because that is the best way we have to understand life, what we are doing here, what the world is about, the best way for us to evolve and help others evolve. If we are locked into this physical dimension, it's so much harder for us to grasp what's beyond and to also get ideas of who we were before. So that is why they do support us. They do support us a lot, actually, more than we would expect. Another thing that is not so common, there is a mistake here, but no problem, we will read together. Or perhaps I do this and we read this one. Things that happen outside the body, but they are not as common as the previous ones that I mentioned. Now, in given mentor communicating with you, but with words, like you are making sentences. You are verbally communicating, even if it's telepathically, there is a verbal communication. And they give you answers. Oh, you should do this, should do that. Oh, pay attention to this. Oh, decide what you want to do about this. This can happen, but it's not as easy because sometimes we are in a given dimension, like in a given density with our astral bodies. And mentors may be in a lighter dimension, higher, subtler. So their astral bodies are subtler than ours. So not necessarily we communicate directly. It's almost as if we know we are talking to someone, but it's not with words. So be prepared for that. If it's with words, great. If you receive an answer, great, but keep an eye. Is it a real mentor? How am I going to know? Am I hearing what I expected only? Am I hearing what I already knew? Because then there's no point for them telling you, right? Am I having here hopes that I'm being helped? But at the end, I continue with the same doubts when I wake up. Life is more or less the same. I am more or less the same. Because when we have an encounter with a mentor, that changes us. The energy changes us. Not forever, but for a good period of time. That moment of your life is changed. So keep that in mind. The other thing, a mentor coming and showing their appearance to you and introduce themselves by name is not common. Can it happen? Yes. It can. It does sometimes, especially when there would be a projector that is very much experienced into communicating with these subtler beings and who is very familiar with that specific one. So then we may have a connection that things become easier. Some projectors, they have more non-physical or astral clairvoyance. So it's easier for them to see these spirits that are with a subtler astral body. But this is the minority. It doesn't matter what we see. It matters what we know. It matters what we feel. And it's very important that you try and watch the masterclass that I told you, because many things about mentors are explained there. Okay. And before I go to your questions, let me ask you, if you are here with me on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up if you learned something with this video, if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing if it's your first time with me. It will be my pleasure to be with you in future moments. So, okay, guys, let me see your questions, okay? Hopefully very much into this topic so that we can stick to what we are studying here. And Carol, do you want to bring some of the questions or should I look for them? Carol is not with me. I think her internet dropped. Okay, let me go back. So, KD. Hello, KD. Oh, sorry. I was about to get up from my body and my hands gone first, but something bite my hand really hard. Do you think that the real person did that in astral body? KL, it's possible. But in the way you describe it, I don't think that was the case. Because if it were, you would have felt something trying to oppress you. You would have felt something trying to prevent you from being lucid. You didn't. It was very mechanical, right? You were detaching, your hand started disconnecting, and you felt like a bite. Yes, it's possible somebody tried to scare you or surprise you so you would not go further. But sometimes there are energetic processes. For example, there could be an energy that would be sent to you that you could feel, for example, like how would I say that? Like somebody's holding you and pushing you hard, but that is just energy, just you disconnecting. So how we interpret the sensations, that is very complex. For me to answer this, I would ask you a few things if we were talking directly. That is, how many times have you felt, not the bite, but the disconnection of your hands and you starting to detach from the body? So if you have felt several times, but that time you had this impression, I would say most probably there was someone there trying to scare you. And of course, it surprised you, not necessarily scared you, because a bite in the astral body is not going to hurt, but it's going to surprise us. Definitely. And that hurts, right? When we are trying to leave the body. So aspects like this, how you felt afterwards, how easy it was for you, for example, to do velo if you tried right after that. If you do velo after a situation like this, you will be able to have a hint on what's going on. Are your energies blocked? Are you controlling them normally? Do you feel the flow of your energies regularly? For those of you who are here with me and do not know what velo is, VELO, it's a technique that I have developed for you to move your energies inside your body in a way that gives you alignment and protection at the same time. If you look for a video here in my channel, what is velo? You will understand what it is, and I have videos giving you some tips on how to do it, okay? So, questions? So Luf is just sharing with us. Did you ever had an OB? I don't, but I'm always studying and practicing. If you are studying and practicing, you will get your OB. But what is important for you to keep progressing is don't feel like you push yourself. It has to be. It's been 6 months. Why don't I get it? And other people do. If you bring this type of thinking, that is going to make it so much more difficult. Instead, you think, okay, I'm learning step by step. Okay, it's been a month that I only get to the point of feeling a buzzing. Okay, but I got familiar with the buzzing. So value what you are learning so that your mind does not block yourself from experiencing what comes further. Okay. Dale is sharing with us, I can feel the energy. I can feel floaty. I sometimes feel like there is movement. Then my body gets tense and the process stops. That is the most common, Dale. Welcome aboard. At the moment we are detaching and are getting closer, somehow we feel surprised. We know what we expect. We are trying to have the experience, but still we get surprised. Sometimes it's instinct, sometimes it's lack of familiarity with the sensation, but sometimes it's our perception of the non-physical environment around, like the environment in our bedroom or the energies that are floating around of us, not your energies, but others that are close by. And that may surprise you because they are negative, not necessarily, not necessarily. Just because the perception is so ample while we are inside the body, our perception is quite funneled. And then sometimes in the process of being, we feel like, then where it ends? Where am I? Where is my body starts and ends? That type of sensation may be surprising or even scary to some people. It's positive, but scary because it connects to fears we've had sometimes in our childhood. So keep that in mind. Robert, hi Robert. I've been pulled out a couple of times by my feet. Yes, but I got scared and fought against it. No wonder, right? So many movies showed us being pulled out through the feet, and that's not something positive. I wonder because so many kids have this fear of someone holding their feet. It's almost like an archetypical fear in a way. But I think that it's not only in the children's mind. I think it's something that non-physical beings, some entities, they use that mental image to approach, to scare some kids. I've had that many times. Boy, I would feel the energy under the bed. I would feel that coming towards me. And I remember the feeling today. Yeah, maybe a few times my mind made it bigger than it was, but I don't think it was imagination. There was something real there behind. So interesting. So I think naturally one would fight against it. You know what you do next time, Rob? You go and you emit energy through your feet. When you feel that, actually now it would be wonderful if you would hope to feel that. Yes, I want that to happen again. And then you emit energy through your feet towards whatever or whoever you feel is there connecting with your feet. That is going to completely change the experience. If you are detaching from the body, it will move on, it will go ahead, progress. If it is some sort of spirit that's not so balanced, you will know it. They will get away and you will know what's going on. If it's a mentor, you will connect even more with the mentor and the experience may go further. I have already had mentors touching me on my feet. That's why I brought this example. But definitely, if it were before I knew about energy and knew about all of these work, I would be scared. No doubt about it. So do what I'm saying next time, okay? So that is something that you can consider. Hi, Michael, how are you doing? In my youth, I was helped by my mentors who taught me how to control my projections and how to navigate various astral planes. Very nice. Very nice. Wow. So good to hear that. You see, it comes naturally. Thank you. for sharing. I'm Kevin. Sometimes before I leave my body, I hear and feel electric feeling moving through the back of my neck. I often get too excited about the feeling and lose my ability to relax. If I relax, I project. Yes, Kevin, you are stating, right? If you relax, you manage to project. Because this sensation you are describing is a type of sensation that happens when we are already disconnecting. Of course, it can be there for a long time, like 20 minutes. Imagine that, 20 minutes with this sensation. It's lovely, but we kind of feel, okay, let's move on. And that's the type of thought we cannot have. But yes, if we relax, it progresses. It progresses. Interesting. Thank you, Kevin. Now, this sensation you are describing, to me, it sounds more like a natural disconnection from the body than the intervenence of a mentor to take you out of the body. Somehow, with your words here, the way I feel it progress, it seems more like a natural development. Very good. Brenda? Hi, Brenda. When I get out of my body, if I get excited, just a little, I'm back in body. How do I stay out longer? Hi, Brenda. Hard, huh? Because in a way, you have to control how you behave. It's not that you cannot be excited. You can. You can be excited and happy. But sometimes when we are excited and happy or surprised, it's the same thing with the surprise that many people here are describing. When we are surprised, we allow that reaction or emotion to alter, to activate our energy. So, or agitate in some cases. So if you are excited, your energy, that's what brings you back. If you manage to be excited, but it's not repressing because the excitement is there, but knowing not to let them come to your energy, like in a very rough, abrupt impact, you will stay out of the body. A little bit is like Mr. Spock, right? So yes, live long and prosper from Star Trek. So you will experience things, but not allowing them to go to that peak. Same thing with a surprise. If something surprises you, it is a surprise, but we learn to buffer, energetically speaking. But if energetically speaking, we buffer, we make that not be so impactful, all of the rest changes as well. Velo helps a lot with that. If you are far from your body, Brenda, you can do velo. If you are very close to the body, you do velo. Sometimes you end up coming back to the body. Sometimes you end up going further. So we never know. But if you are far from the body, you do a velo. Do a velo because then, like, the energies calm down, they become stable. Because if we see something beautiful, it is beautiful, it's bliss. But we can experience that without being so emotional and agitated or activated in terms of energy. I hope I could explain what I'm trying to say and give you some ideas on what to do next time. Hi, Georgia. Sometimes when I'm doing velo, I feel my body getting tense and has a constant upward lift, but I'm not doing it consciously, at least. Could that be a velo effect or a mentor helping? No, if you are doing velo, it has to be velo. Because during velo, mentors will not interfere. Because velo, first of all, because that's a practice for you to gain control of your energy. So they respect that. Second, because when we do velo, the whole point is us in control of our energies and only us. And it should be. And that's what is important for us to learn with velo. So if you feel in this way, it is velo. However, I'm going to read again how you describe it. I feel my body getting tense and has a constant upward lift. You mean the physical body, Georgia? Like this? Or this upward lift is more like the astral body? Because if your body gets tense, I don't think you are referring to the astral body, right? To me, what I am reading behind your words is that you are pushing so much to do velo that you are letting your physical body participate. And I know it's hard because if we don't sense energy clearly, it's almost so abstract that naturally we involve the body in the process. That is natural. But you try to remind yourself at that moment, no, I move energy. It's not my body. Okay, let me focus on the energy only. Let me refocus. Let me try and find a different approach to control my velo. And I promise you that you will sense energy more if you do that. Because otherwise, the physical sensation interferes and produce this type of doubt, which is very natural, but it's not a helper, okay, not a mentor. Okay. So also continuing from Brenda, when I meet people sometimes, I start to come out, then go back in how do I go fully out? When you meet people, you see, you mean spirits, non-physical people, right? So who? How close are you from the body when that happens? Because subtle differences can mean a lot. So you are still inside your body, you are already sensing them. What type of connection? How do they change your energy? You start going out and you come back. But was that the proper moment for you to go out? You wanted to go out to explore, to be in control of yourself, to learn about the multidimensional world, or to be with them? So there are details there that we have to observe, because nothing is simple when we talk about energy. Everything is related to energy. So you can imagine how many different angles there could be and how many different phenomena could be involved into an experience like this. Oh, Lufel is helping me here with something. Since Carol is not here, thank you. If you have a specific question, there is a post Nancy made about answering questions for every Wednesday. Yes, I will answer questions every Wednesday. So if you go in my channel, you look at community, you see the question block or box where you can leave your questions. Okay. Thank you, Phil, for your help with that. So I have Michael. During one of my early OBEs, I arrived at a location where there were many low-frequency parasitic entities, causing me some anxiety. The question arose in my mind, how do I evade these creatures? A helpful voice said, raise your vibrations. They cannot follow you. I did so and magically left that scenario. Wonderful. Yes, that is an excellent example. And it works like this. So I'm going to use your case here, Michael, to illustrate one of the things that I have mentioned in the beginning of my talk. You see, sometimes it's like a mental instruction. You are not seeing. We hear in our minds, not necessarily a voice that you are going to say it's from an old person and young person. No, it's like knowing the words, knowing the information. It comes to our minds. So that's why we pick as a voice. It's a thought that we pick. I have had this many times, many times. So another thing I want to use Michael's case here to emphasize. Not necessarily he knew how to raise the vibrations of his energy. But that information comes in a way that intuitively we know what to do. Why is it that we know what to do? Let us think together. If we have had other lives, how many projections have we had in other bodies that we had before? And how many periods in between lives have we had that right now we don't remember? We are from the astral, spirit, non-physical dimension. We are from there. Here is what's not natural to us. And that's why we need a physical body to be here. So we think of the astral projection as if that is something very complicated. We won't know what to do. But on the contrary, if we are lucid, if we maintain our calm, when we are there, we do know what to do. It comes to us naturally. So keep that in mind. Very good. Thank you for this very nice example. Once in lucid dreaming, Trevor is telling us, hands to pull me up, but not reached to them. So you saw her hands that were there to pull you out, but you could not reach them. Yeah, I've heard cases like this, but it's interesting for us to think: do we end up blocking ourselves, or is because we did not manage to go subtle enough to get to that dimension, connect with that para hand that was there? So these are questions that any of us would have in a situation like this, Trevor. Thank you for sharing. Carol, hi Carol, how are you doing? Do mentors also evolve through their service to us? They, yes, of course, but normally the service they do to us is something that they already master. So we cannot say they are learning something new necessarily. They are learning to put into practice their skills. Most of the time, consciousnesses evolve more when they are here in the physical body, because here we have challenge that not necessarily we have when we are out there. But an interesting surprise to all of us, myself included, would be thinking if or when, let me put when we are no longer using this body, who are we going to be? Are we going to be mentors? Mentors of what type? What type of task can we do? Or we are not going to be prepared to be mentors. When we have astral projections, do we help others? Perhaps we help and don't remember. But if we do help, how does that reflect here in my everyday life? So, in a way, Carol's question make me think of all of that. How what we learn here, we reflect there. How much of what we manifest here is consistent with our real level of evolution? Are we in a sub-level as compared to who we really are? Many of us, yes. We are here behaving in a way that's immature as compared to who we really are. Alexandre is asking, do guides sometimes send message in lucid dreams? Absolutely, yes. They do, many times. A big question there would be, Alexandre, I will dare to expand a bit. Are we sure that's a lucid dream? Because sometimes we interpret as, but definitely there can be and there would be messages. Sometimes it's a dream mixed with a bit of projection, but not so easy for us to know, right? to acknowledge, to interpret, and know the difference. So let me see if there are other questions. I forgot to ask you guys to write questions when it's a question. I'm reading comments, very interesting. Georgia, an interesting question. Is it possible for a mentor to communicate with a person close to you for you? Yes. Sometimes inspiring the person to tell you something or to invite you to do something. But in that case, we are talking about how a mentor would connect with us while we are in the physical body. So that is slightly different from the angle we are having in this talk, just so that we don't get confused. But what you are saying, yes, it is possible. If you watch the master class that I suggested there in the beginning of this talk here, you will learn loads about it. I have explained it in details. Okay, thank you, Georgia. And I have a question from Emma. Hi, Emma, how are you doing? Do you have any specific techniques for maintaining our awareness while astral projecting? There are many techniques. Usually the best combination of them. But some of the techniques involve, number one, emitting energy through your third eye when you are projected outside the body, if you feel you are not lucid aware enough. Sometimes you don't even get aware enough to know we need to do that. But if you do, that is something that's worth trying. Another thing, looking around and recognizing which place are you at? How does that look like? That starts connecting you more with a specific projection you are having. And that raises lucidity a lot. Sometimes, on the contrary, sometimes it goes down. Why? Because sometimes it was already an unconscious projection or was a lucid dream. So the more we focus on the moment, the more our lucidity will raise. In some cases, we can even try and do velo outside the body. I have tried a few times. It was very nice, much easier than inside the body. And we get many different insights. Yes, that is the proper way of saying it. So I have a comment from Don Lord, rectifying some of the things we said. I have Isabel saying, can assist the astral projection a persona that is also projected? Yes. So her question is it possible that an astral projector helps you while you are projected? Did I understand correct, Isabel? I hope so. I mean, the mentor is not any spiritual entity, but a projector, yes, connected to you. That is learning the projection. It is possible, it happens. And that's why sometimes we meet each other in projections. You can meet a friend, you can meet somebody who is also projected, sometimes a family member, yes. And in some cases, because outside the body, we may remember and know things that we don't when we are inside this brain. In many cases, we can discuss about situations that we would not know if we were here. One can emit energy to the other and help, can console. There are many different situations that happen in this sense. That was a very good question that I perhaps should have put in my slide. Thank you, Isabel. Very good question. And then Motofly. Oh, you have a bird there. Is that what is that, a blackbird? I love birds. I had a bird that looked like this. I had. I try velo, but it's hard for me. I mostly run strong energy hands and head and just try to meditate. The quieter my mind, the stronger the energy. Yes, but you know what I feel you are trying to achieve here? You are trying to achieve a velo in which you feel energy very clearly. So you quiet your mind in order to sense the energy. And the sensation gets stronger when you meditate. Yes, definitely. For some people, it will be like that. You connect more with your energy body. When we do velo, we are trying to do something different. It's almost as if you would be trying to establish a rhythm of flow, of pulses, of, let's say, undulation to your own energy body. So it's not as easy to sense at the beginning because it's something new we are establishing. So if I stop, and most of us here, we stop and try and sense our energy. We will sense it. Perhaps more easily. For me nowadays, no, but in the past it used to be more easily than if I tried to do Velo. Because Velo is creating a flow, creating an organization in the distribution of your energy that is not one that would happen naturally. So you are organizing the flow of the energy between the chakras. Can you get what I'm saying? So each chakra is there in a certain vibration, and you start creating that very harmonious, aligned flow. So it takes time. You have to be patient. Don't expect strong sensations at the beginning. Otherwise, you end up not doing Velo. You start adjusting how you do it, looking for the sensation. But then when you are doing it, it's not Velo you are doing because you adjusted it to sense. I hope I understood well what is going on. I try to interpret based on your words, but I kind of usually connect with the person who is asking. So I would suggest you try this approach I'm telling you here. Bernat, hello. Is it making a difference to ask for the mentor's help before going to sleep? Or they just come alone by themselves when they feel it's our moment? They know when we want to leave the body. They know we are investing. They know we are ready. They know it's important. So, yes, they come. However, when we ask, what is it that we are doing? Letting them know we want to project? No, they know. But when we ask, what we are doing is that, in a way, we are reinforcing to ourselves that information in our energy. It works more on us than on them, if you understand what I mean, because they will approach anyway. But for us, it becomes easier for us to connect, to have in our mind the idea of projecting. But it's very important that we have in mind as well, I am not in a hurry. Yes, I want. And what is it that I have to do? What's the first step so that I get to the point of having a very nice, lucid astral projection in which I enjoy and I learn and I sense new things, and my mind expands from that experience. That's what we want. So rather than just, oh, I left the body, I saw my body, but there's something we want to learn behind it. So that learning interest tends to cultivate a lot the attention of these mentors. But normally, it's the information that we send in our energy. What is there is there. I hope I could explain myself. So it doesn't hurt if you mentalize and ask them. You can. It's not going to be a problem. It will reinforce it. But they may come independently. Gladys, today is my birthday. Happy birthday. You are in the CDP course, so we are going to see each other. I think I saw you in the last Q&A, like group mentoring session, right? Of the CDP. Wonderful. CDP is Consciousness Development Program, for those of you who don't know. Wonderful, Gladys. Thank you for being here. So, an interesting question. Is it easier to have a lucid dream than an astral projection? Yes, of course. Because the astral projection, you go all the way. The lucid dreaming, you stop at some point. And you only keep attention on what is happening inside your mind. In the projection, you go outside. You don't control the projection. You control yourself in the projection, but you don't control the event of the projection per se. But again, I'm going to reinforce. Many people call lucid dreaming a projection. They have an astral projection. They say they had a lucid dreaming. I saw many people teaching lucid dreaming that they are actually teaching astral projection. It's easier to call it lucid dream, perhaps. Easier for people to reach it. I don't know. I don't like it very much. I think it doesn't help us to learn and distinguish. Gladys is saying the only time I had a lucid dream was through, I had an OBE, was through a lucid dream. If you guys take a look here in my channel, how to induce an astral projection with lucid dreaming, look for these two keywords, lucid dreaming and astral projection. I teach you 7 steps to turn a lucid dream into an out-of-body experience. And that is very effective, very effective. So for those of you who normally experience lucid dreams, I totally recommend you watch that. I have here some interesting comments from Dale. Lucky, I have had a few OBEs after taking the consciousness development program many years ago. And sometimes I'm stuck halfway in the body, then often feel a hand take mine and lift me out fully till I can do it by myself. Very nice, Loki. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. I'm grateful and have wanted to meet them. Nice. But they never show themselves. Although we give a brief word. Yes, they share ideas, right? But don't show themselves very easily. That's true. Well, at least we are not being deceived by someone showing their faces very commonly, but it's not a real mentor. It's not so easy for a real mentor to do it because they are so much subtler in their astral bodies, or their astral bodies are so much subtler. Bentelis, thank you for being here, for all the work you do and help you give. Your book is absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. It's hard to do energy exercise or OBE in sitting position. What are the pros and cons? No, it's not hard. Both are possible. Actually, to some people, it's easier for them to leave the body when sitting. Working with energies, you can be, I like it sitting. I like with my back straight. It helps me, I think, to concentrate on my energy. It doesn't have to be for me. But leave the body sitting. The idea is that you are in a recliner. You have to have your body comfortable enough so that you are not holding the body. You see, like you do not have to tense any muscle of your neck, your shoulders, your back. No, you can let go completely. Then absolutely it's possible to leave the body sitting. And as I said, for some people it's easier because of the breathing, because they retain their lucidity for longer. So try it. Very good question. Michael again is saying, during my early OBEs, I had conscious detachment. Later on, I experienced spontaneous projection where I've arrived at a chosen destination or sometimes at a random location. Very nice. And then Dale says, why is subtle emotional regulation so important? Well, because it alters our vibrations, right, Dale? Our vibrations of the energy body will reflect our intentions, our fears, our doubts, our knowledge, our level of evolution, and our emotions. So I'll get 2 questions more and stop, okay? So, hello, Mortiza, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. Can these spiritual mentors condition us with hypnosis so that we can leave our bodies more easily? For example, by saying a word or doing a certain movement, not through hypnosis. Could they say a word like you can, but that is not to hypnotize us. It's to give us strength, power, confidence. Never ever a mentor would utilize anything that would resemble hypnosis, Because the idea behind hypnosis is I induce you to do something that you don't really want to. You are not really putting your effort into that. So mentors don't use that. But yes, they can use all sorts of ideas, inspirations, images. We just cannot call that hypnosis. Hypnosis has a very specific meaning, right? You may be using this more loosely here, but then to be certain that that is understood, I'm being super precise. Pavel, in the hypnopompic state, in a place devoid of anything but a visible window, but aware of being out of phase with body, but without a body projection. How do you interpret this locale? Look, if you are coincided with your body, to me, that is a stage of the disconnection. I have had this, and there are many out of body experiences that use this type of mechanism occurrence. So I'm going to elaborate a bit because I'm not sure I understand completely the condition in which your experience happened. But sometimes in a projection, when we are relaxed, we start entering an altered state of consciousness and we feel absolute peace, meaning we are connected with the non-physical dimension. Being connected with the non-physical dimension does not mean we are out of the body. We may be inside, going through that process, so our awareness expanded. Sometimes people see a door, sometimes they see an opening. I have had experience, for example, in which I saw a wall. So I would feel like I was climbing that wall, and once I got to the top, boom, then I disconnected. So the point here is, what sort of mental state were you? Because when you say hypnopompic state, you are implying you are inside the body, between asleep and awake. But were you inside the body between asleep and awake? Or were you floating out of your body when you were about to wake up? So that is not hypnopompic state, because the hypnopompic state would be related with you being inside your brain. I guess would be nice if you could interpret this, because it could be an experience that you had projected, and your brain brings that image to try and almost like create something tangible of what you are experiencing. So you are experiencing a situation, you are experiencing a state of mind that is very different from our regular everyday life. You are close to the brain or inside the body, inside the brain, your brain will try to interpret. So it creates an image. So that is an image showing possibility, showing. So not so easy to answer this because I cannot have all of the details. Okay, last question I'll get from Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for being here. During an OBE in the black world, I saw a tiny point of light moving away like a snake. I asked myself if should I follow it, but I didn't. Should I have? Oh, so you are in the energy force field course. Nice. Stephanie, I wouldn't. Because you were in an environment that didn't mean much. So you are describing it as a black world. So I do not know if it's black because it was somber, heavy, not so good in terms of quality, or just because you couldn't see anything. If it was because you were in a kind of blind projection, couldn't see anything, and you saw that light, perhaps you could have paid attention to it. I don't say follow, going with it, but you pay attention to it so you get more information. Like you mind that. But if the place you were like heavy, I don't see any reason why you would follow that. Because It was not a helper or a mentor trying to invite you to go somewhere to help somebody. If it were, you would have felt different. The type of feeling you would have had would be very different. So I think you did well. And who knows, right? I guess those are the questions. Oh, so here is Stephanie. I couldn't see anything. So it was a type of blind projection. Then I think you could have paid attention to it. What is that? The moment you do this, your vision start coming back. And then you will be able to know where you are, or at least to have an experience that is more palpable to you. But sometimes these blind projections, they are a bit strange. We feel like, what do I do? I'm not seeing anything, right? We are not used to an experience like this. But I think you could have focused on that because you were not feeling anything negative. So in case you thought later, oh, I shouldn't have followed, do a velo. You know very well how to do it. We are practicing a lot in the energy force field. Do it. You come back to the body or you end up in another dimension. No problem. No reason to fear. Okay? Very good, guys. I guess that's it from us. Huh? I hope you enjoyed. It was certainly very enjoyable to me. Such a pleasure. Wonderful questions. I love my community, the type of questions that we have and the type of energy and climate that we have in our talks are special. Thank you very much for those of you who could be present live and those who watch on replay. Thank you for watching. I am very grateful for your presence here. Please let me know in the comments which of these experiences you have already had and what of these topics you would like me to discuss further. And remember, every Wednesday, you have a question box that you leave there your questions, and I'll pick a few to answer for you. Okay? Goodbye then, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao, Sophie and everyone. Thank you very much. Ciao.